This project is me getting excited about the cool stuff we can do with computers now. It feels like we're kind of at the edge of something. And, there's a lot of conversations around how transformative a lot of this tech is. But then when you start getting into specific use cases or actual stories, or do you actually know anyone who's done that, the conversation kind of falls flat. And I expected there to be a lot more stories out there on the internet, but it's surprisingly hard to find personal stories. Yeah, so what did you find?
Yeah, so I'm so glad that you talked about all of this, because honestly, it was like really hard to find all of these personal stories, right? Because there aren't a lot. You're right.
Yeah.
So I actually found, like, I reached out to my colleagues across different disciplines, and I got some personal examples from people working in research, people working in software, IT, and then I went to YouTube and I had all of these tutorials. I thought maybe we can use those because those are kind of like personal examples of people using an actual workflow with multiple prompts. So I compiled like 4 different examples. So, all right. So YouTube automations, I mean, I'm sure there are many channels on YouTube which are making faceless videos, right? So there are videos of movie recaps and, I don't know, facts about certain things, documentaries and whatnot. So they're all using voiceovers and AI to basically kind of create a video and not use their own voice, just have a script written, because I actually work for one of those channels. I actually write a script for those channels. So it's about crime documentaries in Canada, and it's doing actually very well. It has like over 100K subscribers. But so the point is that they use voice-over softwares or apps to kind of, get the entire script voiced out. Then they attach videos or pictures to the movie, and then they just upload it to YouTube. And that's it. That's your finished product. If you have to make a faceless video before ChatGPT, I mean, you could use other AI content creators, but they weren't as good. But before ChatGPT, most people either had to hire writers or they had to do their own research and write the script themselves. And after that, the entire process got a little more autonomous, but before that was completely manual. The research and the script writing part was. But I went through a YouTube video. It's a channel. It's actually, I found that link on the OpenAI forum. It's a new channel by some guy who owns like a couple of channels, and on his new channel he's teaching people how to use AI. So he went through an entire workflow for making an automated YouTube video, and he started off by getting ChatGPT to write a script for you, right? So one of the ways that people trick ChatGPT into writing a script for them is that they ask it to write an article. So for instance, in this example, the person used the title, The Evolution of Facebook. And he got this entire 300-400 word article written by ChatGPT. And then he pasted it onto this another app called Flicky, which again uses AI. And Flicky, you just paste your entire script on Flicky, and Flicky automatically generates the visuals for it and automatically voices it over. And of course, there are premium voices with expressions and emotions and stuff like that. And you can change their pitch and whatnot. So he got this entire 2-minute video made in like less than 20 minutes. And of course, there's the limitation of what if you want to make a longer video, because a 2-minute video doesn't really tell you the history of Facebook. It just tells you a summary of the history of Facebook, right? So if you want to go into the detail of that, people have found ways to trick ChatGPT into doing that too. So that's kind of what they're doing in the writing circle, in the content writing circles. So when you want ChatGPT to write like a 2,000-word article, it won't do that for you, even if you tell it to specifically write a 2,000-word article. So what you instead do is you ask it to give you an outline of the article, and it will, subdivide the article into H1s, H2s, H3s, whatnot. And then you give it individual H2s, and you ask it to write a detailed article on that particular H2. Sure. And it writes like 300-400 words on that particular H2. You do that for all the H2s, and you have yourself a 2,000-word article, right? And of course, there's going to be some overlap because it adds an introduction and a conclusion paragraph. So you have to remove that manually. But the thing is, it pretty much automates the process for you. So now you have a 2,000-word script, and you can paste it in, and you get like a 10-minute video. So this gave me it was very encouraging to see that I can automate the entire thing.
Let me digest all of this and feed it back to you to make sure I've understood it. So I know nothing about YouTube automation. I mean, I've heard in passing about faceless accounts, but I know nothing about this under the hood. So what I understood from what you said there is that the main bottleneck to automating the production of faceless YouTube videos is the writing part. Now, that's largely been solved with GPT-3 and its associated technologies in much the same way that it's been solved for content writing in any form.
Exactly.
What I didn't understand is there anything different about writing for YouTube that is different from, say, someone using Jasper to write content for a blog? Is there anything specific to this, or do you just get a great article and then you're good?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. So I've never used any other content creation tool, especially for writing, aside from ChatGPT. So
Okay.
I don't know how Jasper works, but
Sure.
YouTube videos, their script needs to be very conversational. So it needs to have a very engaging hook. It needs to keep the readers on the viewers, sorry, on the edge of their seats.
Yeah.
So if you're making a video, you can't just start it like an article. You can't just give a brief introduction and then delve right into the next H2, right? Because viewers, they can't see H2s.
Sure.
So for YouTube videos, you have to make it very conversational. So you have to keep it very seamless. There shouldn't be any breaks. It has to be a very smooth transition throughout the script.
Sure.
And so, for instance, you can't just jump from an event that was happening in 2022 straight to an event that was happening in 2017. I mean, in an article, you can do that. You can just write a heading, 2017, 2022. And readers would know what's happening. They would have the context. But in YouTube, you'd have to add a whole line explaining that, all right, so this happened in 2022, but it is connected to an event which happened in 2017. So it adds like 15, 20 more words. ChatGPT struggles with that because technically we are tricking it into writing an article. So of course, if you want to create a very good video, you'd still need to edit that script. But the research part, which was the actual painstaking part, and the writing the entire script part, that's largely taken care of. Now you just have to add filler text, the scaffolding text to make it more seamless, and then you'll have a great video. And if you don't want a great video, you still have a video.
Sure. So, okay, but was there any part of the workflow that addressed this? Like, was there a modification that was like, oh, make this modification because it's a YouTube video? Like when you found this guy in OpenAI, was there a part of his workflow that wouldn't be applicable to a non-YouTube context? Like, what I'm trying to get at is, was it just content writing plus then going down this YouTube creation funnel, or was the workflow specific to this in some way that you're aware of, that you know?
No. So in his video, he never added any parameters to make it more conversational.
So he doesn't. Okay, so who is this guy? Like, who are we talking about? This is a guy who has a couple of YouTube channels. Is that what you said?
Yeah, because his name, let me just find that for you. His name is, at least the channel is Seabass Capman, and he runs another channel which has the name TechMac, because when he was uploading the YouTube video, he uploaded it on the channel TechMac. But the video, the recording that I was seeing, that was on his channel, the Seabass Capman channel.
Got it.
So yeah, he definitely runs a couple of channels. I mean, a lot of people do. So yeah. He didn't use any specific prompts to make it more conversational, but I think ChatGPT probably will be able to do that. I didn't try that myself either.
No, it will for sure. But it was just a case of seeing what someone who clearly does this more than a hobby, like he's got a couple of channels, he's been doing this a while, he's like actively, it would have been cool to see if his workflow, I mean, obviously people aren't going to share their proprietary stuff. Like, it's very hard to find exact prompts because you're giving away an advantage. But some people do share it. So I was just wondering if that. Okay, anyway, so the guy runs a couple of YouTube channels. He's figured out how to automate the process. The main problem here is the research and the writing, and this can take a really, really long time. The problem we're solving here is content generation. So now you've got the script, and then the rest of the tools also have AI to some degree, but that's not a problem that was huge before. That's all pretty much the same now. And then you're saying like the other bottleneck is the length issue. Like, doing this automated in one go means a really short video, so you have to kind of break it down and recursively kind of write content for a larger article, and then you can have like a 10-minute video. Okay, so we've covered who it is, we've covered the problem, we've covered the general steps of how he's dealt with it. There was a couple of like gotchas or best practices that you talked about there with the length. Did it work? Like, was it successful? Like, did the videos he produced with this then lead to him growing a channel and getting viewership and all of that? Like, was there any evidence?
That's a very, very good question. That's something I'm actually interested in. That's the next step. So once you upload a video on YouTube, there's actually YouTube SEO. So there are many different tools that do that for you. So there's TubeBuddy, there's Q Video, something, I don't know. So they're all paid tools, right? So they generate tags for you. They look, they help you figure out which tags to use, which
Sure.
hashtags to use, what description to use, what keywords to include in your title and whatnot.
Yeah.
Now, ChatGPT take cares of all of that for you as well.
Yeah.
So you can ask ChatGPT to write a good title, a good description, keywords, and hashtags for you, right?
Yeah.
So this was the next bottleneck. Now, for this part, you also needed another paid tool, unless you're an SEO expert, of course. And I don't remember in his video if he used that or not, but I did. So I've been trying different things with YouTube. So I have this kind of like my test channel where I upload random shorts, and I'm trying to figure out the YouTube algorithm, but I'm trying to do that manually. So I tried that. One of my shorts got saturated at like 20, 30, 40 views. And I was like, hey, you know what? Let's SEO it. And let's SEO it using ChatGPT.
Okay.
And I went to ChatGPT and I was like, hey, I have this video, and I gave it the title of the video. And I was like, I want a good title. I want a good description. What are the relevant keywords and what are the relevant hashtags? And it gave me it gave me a couple of suggestions for the title. It gave me the keywords. It gave me the description. It gave me the hashtags and all that.
Yeah.
And then I asked it to, kind of write the description using the keywords,
Yeah.
and incorporate the keywords in the title too, including the hashtags. And it did all of that. It included the keywords in the title, in the description, used the hashtag in the description and the title, gave me a list of other keywords, right, which I could just directly copy paste into YouTube tags. And it was completely automated. So YouTube SEO was completely automated. And guess what? The next morning when I woke up, that video went from 40 views to like 1.8K views. I mean, for shorts, that's practically nothing. But
Sure.
SEO takes a very long time. SEO is like kind of like playing the long game. So you don't SEO something and then expect it to blow up the next day. You SEO something and then it becomes evergreen. So it will keep on generating views for you in the long run. But it's really fascinating to see that ChatGPT's YouTube optimization works.
So that's a use case. What else do you have? What are other, what's another story that you kicked up?
So the next thing that I want to talk about is something that's related to me. So I work in the life sciences. I'm a molecular biologist. So I have to work on research projects all the time. And this next use case is about how you can use ChatGPT for research. And it goes far beyond what you'd probably expect, because ChatGPT would not only identify research problems for you, it would give you the research gaps. It would come up with an entire experimental design, which is mind-blowing. So yeah, in an experimental design, you need to have test subjects, control subjects, statistical analyses, dosage, and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it does all of that for you. So it's practically like having an actual scientist with you, which is crazy, because this is the exact output I'd get if I just turn towards my lab mate and I ask them, hey, so what's up? Can I use this like that? And they'd be like, no, you should probably go with these subjects, and you should probably get like a double-blind clinical trial where you can use your drug on two different groups of people and blah, 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 blah. And ChatGPT does all of that for you. And this person sitting next to me, they have went to grad school. ChatGPT hasn't. This is amazing.
But is there a story here of someone in the industry who's actually done this?
No. So this is again a YouTube video of a researcher, of a life science researcher trying out ChatGPT. So again, there's been a lot of debate about using ChatGPT for research, because there was this article, a research article, which got published with ChatGPT as the co-author. And then it caused a huge stir across the different publication journals, because they charge you a ridiculous amount of money to publish their articles. And yeah, so they've all decided that they would not be crediting AI tools as authors, right? So the scientific community the scientific community is definitely divided over its use, because people want to use it, but then again, the people who are leading the scientific community are the people who weren't from the AI era. So they are pretty much very against it, and they don't want to, at least they don't want ChatGPT to be a part of the manuscript that you submit to a journal. So yeah, that would count as plagiarism now. But before that, so once you start a research project, the first thing is identifying a research gap, right? A problem that you could work on, question. And that could take you several weeks. You have to go through tons of literature. You have to identify a very specific point that has gone missing, that someone hasn't worked on before. and then you can start researching literature about that particular point. So what are the different areas that have been covered around that particular question, and why was this particular question not addressed? And then finally, you can start designing an experiment which could probably help you answer that question.
Okay.
And then you can, come up with some statistical tests to help you analyze your hypothesis and see if the hypothesis testing comes out to be statistically significant or not. Anyhow, this is a painstaking process. It takes a long time. So, I mean, pretty much any PhD student spends their first 2 years just trying to figure out what their research question is and how they can even begin to answer it.
Yeah.
ChatGPT did all of this in less than 20 minutes. So that person who made this YouTube video, again, because there aren't a lot of personal examples, I'm pretty sure no researcher would admit to using ChatGPT, at least right now.
Well, right? Like the person who put ChatGPT as the co-author on their paper, we know for a fact that they did.
Yeah, that was before this huge stir. That was way before. That's what caused this whole thing.
Did the YouTube video person give us exact prompts when they were trying it out?
Yes.
Yes.
I noted them all down. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I got the prompts for everything. So for the YouTube automation, for this too, yeah, it's crazy. You have to see how fascinating ChatGPT can be, because not only did it design its entire experiment, it gave us the statistical tests we should be using. And that's like a huge challenge for molecular biologists who are not statisticians. So they can make pretty big mistakes when they're trying to interpret their data. And that could lead to misinterpretations and false studies which get retracted and your entire career goes down the drain. So this is very important.
So, okay, look, I look forward to reading about this in the article.